Now, I want to go ahead. This is part 4 of why Drillsgtfitness is 100% right about machine operating specialists being the backbone of the military. Alright. So, few factors that people don't end up keeping in mind. When you have somebody that ends up going ahead and learning how to be able to operate a larger vessel at that, at that young age, as well as proper docking procedure, what ends up happening? Ultimately, it translates in a lot of different ways. Like, for example, me explaining, well, people would go ahead and, there are some people that would have an issue when it comes to, the training school needed to, get your commercial driver's license. That would allow you to operate a larger vehicle, like a 18-wheeler, whether it be long haul or short haul. For me, it would be very natural. I mean, ultimately operating a vehicle of that weight and, that massiveness wouldn't be the first time around. Be far, actually, from the first time around. Point that I'm making on that, though, with getting to learn how to operate a larger vehicle or a vessel like that at a young age, it made being able to learn how to drive a car a lot easier. Between that as well as the go-kart factor, because I also had to learn about suspension and, the actual weight distribution, the struts, and the process of, the higher acceleration. Alright? So what does that translate into? Ironically enough, and by the way, if you want to go ahead and put me to this test, put me to this test. Alright? Bring me to a drift track. Alright? Even if it's a vehicle that's just one-time use demonstration, just throw it together, Just safe enough to be able to maneuver. No mechanical issues that end up affecting maneuverability, But at the same time, too, that if, I ended up going ahead and kissing the wall, that it's like, that this was a junker we put together for the sake of a demonstration. Cool. Thank you for that. But basically, if I were to go ahead and be put on a drift track with a compact car, that, ultimately I didn't need to go ahead and focus on the shifting mechanics, because when it comes to drifting, there's a difference between, straight drive drifting as far as automatic as well as manual. And yes, it is possible to go ahead and drift in an automatic vehicle. But ultimately, to go ahead and get the speed that, I would feel comfortable actually being able to maneuver at that high speed while simultaneously having to counter steer. Part-wise, obviously there would need to be a rolling cage built in to be able to make sure that in case of actual accident, that it ends up going ahead and providing a safety barrier. But as far as, parts go, to be able to gain the momentum needed to be able to basically time out that tire dance. Usually if you're going for as high velocity as possible, while at the same time having to demonstrate, performance steering and counter steering, there are performance modifications that are not exactly street legal. Alright? Notice I say street legal, not track illegal. Alright? So going ahead and having a modification performance part that ends up switching between a turbo and a supercharger automatically, based on RPMs reached. Track legal, not street legal. Alright? But being able to kill a drift track, not a problem. But learning how to operate that larger, heavier vessel ends up going ahead and translating to thinking quick on your feet when it comes down to a smaller vehicle. So, which do you think is more difficult to operate? A 50-foot, 35,000-pound, I guess technically mini yacht, or a compact car.